Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we're continuing with the First Battle of Winchester, turn 2, the 0500 hours turn. Turn 1 saw Jackson move his division up the Valley Pike while Yule brought his division up the Front Royal Pike and Millwood Pike. Banks has arrayed his 2 brigades south of town and he's trying to organize a retreat. And so yeah, this is going to be turn 2. I've already done all the activation marker stuff, efficiency determination. Jackson got an efficiency of 1. Banks got an efficiency of 4. So, but Jackson won the initiative, and he chose his own division to go first, or had to have the first activation. So for Jackson's activation, I think we're going to move Winder up to this stone wall. Campbell will bring around, I think we're going to bring him around into this area to be the flanking force, while Fulkerson moves his force up on Berners Hill here. And then I don't know what we're going to do with the artillery. Probably put it like somewhere on this hill, hopefully. We just have to find a good spot for it, where it can actually have an effect. Yule's division will be continuing up the pike, and sending probably, who's up here first? First Maryland, past the Kern farmhouse into these woods to get some flanking fire, or at least to threaten an outflanking maneuver on Donnellys Brigade. So yeah, let's get started without further ado. And I'm going to go ahead and activate Jackson, bring you back to show you where everybody ended up. All right, so here's Jackson's division at the end of his activation. So we have Winder going up to the stone wall, the artillery heading up onto the hill. Campbell's brigade is making its way out here, while Fulkerson brings up the rear and is going to try to get up in here as well. So now we draw the next AM, and it is Yule's division. So let's bring you over there. Okay, so Yule's division is over here on Millwood Pike, and this is the confusing part. I got probably got wrong about march orders while in advance, or march movement while in advance orders, of like when you can retract the extended column. But anyway, it shouldn't really matter too much. They only had 2 activations, and they were happy with where they got. So Yule is now going to activate. Like I mentioned, I think Trimble is going to bring the 1st Maryland out this way. Probably everybody's going to come this way. And then maybe 1st Maryland, 21st North Carolina going to go this way. And then 16th Mississippi, 15th Alabama, 21st Georgia are going to continue at the pike. That'll be 3 hexes. That should be enough to pin this brigade while these 2 regiments kind of swing out wide. So I'll go ahead and move everybody and bring you back to show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so here's Yule's division at the end of his activation. 1st Maryland, 21st North Carolina, move to the tree line over here, and they're out of line of sight of the cannons, I believe. 16th Mississippi, 15th Alabama, 24th Georgia moved up along the Millwood Pike. 16th Mississippi got into the woods to give them some cover, but 15th Alabama, 24th Georgia is still in the open, and I think they'll probably fan out in the next activation. So that's Yule's first activation complete. Let's remove all these movement things. Now we need a new AM, and who do we got? We have another Yule activation. So I'm going to have a think about this and bring you back when everything's moved and we figure this out. Okay, here's a learning opportunity for everybody, myself included. I stacked the artillery under the infantry, and of course artillery stack with infantry cavalry can only fire if it is the top unit in the stack at the time of the fire. So it's pretty wasted, to be honest. I totally goofed that up. So they can't do approach fire. It would have been better to have the artillery on top of the infantry, do the approach fire, and then we could have wheeled it out when the infantry got closer. So I don't know how to resolve that. I don't think there is a way without getting an activation for Donnelly or for Williams and then moving the artillery to the top of the stack. But when it does so, I don't think it's allowed to fire on the same activation. So it would have taken an activation to move him to the top of the stack and then another activation to fire. I guess it is better to have the artillery on the bottom if you're going to get shot at. So in the next activation, it would have been, well, I mean, it's a moot point because the 5th Connecticut has so much frontage that the artillery won't be able to fire. So, yeah, goofed that up. Hardcore. Don't judge me. You would have done the same. Don't lie. Well, maybe not. But yeah, so that's Yule's second activation complete. Now let's pull out a new AM. It's another Confederate, and it is Stuart's Cavalry. So Stuart's Cavalry is just going to try to boot the 8th New York out of the way and try to get up this little ravine onto the flank of the Union. But first we're going to have to change Stuart's orders to attack in order to get within the 1 hex here. Stuart's rating DRM is a 0, so it's just a straight die roll. And let's see what we get. A 0, a 1 or less, so he's a retain and stand, so he just kind of hangs out. There's no line of sight between these 2 hexes because it passes along the hex side of a hex that blocks line of sight. So yeah, that's a bummer. There we go. All right, so next AM to draw is a Union, and it is Williams. So Williams will finally get a chance to activate. I think we'll start with Donnellys Brigade over here. These guys are going to want to obviously fire into Yule's men. But because we moved within 2, at least Yule will be able to fire back, even though it'll be at a pretty bad disadvantage. So we'll start from east to west. 46 Pennsylvania will fire at the 16th Mississippi. So we have rifles at a range of 2 for a +1. We're firing with 7 SPs. I don't think any other modifiers apply, to be honest. We're in the open, not masked, not disordered or anything. So yeah, it's on the 7 column, +1 die roll. A 0 + 1 is a 1, so it's a D -2. Yule is not fatigued, so we don't have to worry about forgetting that rule. So we're at a D, what was it? -2. Oh no. Cancel. So a 3 -2 is a 1. Passes without problem. So 16 Mississippi is going to fire back at 46 Pennsylvania. They have muskets for -2 at a range of 2. And they're not fatigued or anything. I don't think anything else applies. Yep, so -2 on this die roll. 4 on the 7 column is a disorder check. They have a cohesion of 6. A 1 passes no problem. Now the 5th Connecticut and F Battery, 4th US, are going to fire, but of course only 7 SPs get to fire. So 5th Connecticut is going to fire at 15th Alabama. So +2 like usual. And the stone wall hex doesn't hide 15th Alabama because it's not like in the right direction. So they don't get the bonus from that. So 7 SPs +2, I said, or no, +1, sorry, for the rifle musket. So a 4, again, is just a disorder check. Cohesion of 7. 0 passes, no problem. 15th Alabama will fire back at that hex. So we have 8 SPs, or sorry, 7. And using muskets at range 2 is a -2. And a 0 -2 is a -2. It's nothing. Now, what do we got? 28th New York has rifle muskets, 7 SPs on the 21st Georgia. I'm calling this fine. It's a hill. They're firing downhill. So again, +1. Ooh, this is a good roll. 9 on the 7 column is a 1 disorder. But since return fire happens simultaneously, we do get to fire back before that disorder and the 1 take effect. So the 21st Georgia is firing back with muskets, range 2 for -2. And that's a 0 on the 7 column. It's so disappointing. Is a D -2, so we're at 6. It's a -2. 2 is 0. I swear, I don't know. I don't know, Vassal. So we get a 1D, so we have to get a marker, a strength marker here somewhere. I'll get the sword and bring you back when I've done it. All right, so that was a pretty good activation for Donnellys Brigade. They got the 21st Georgia disorder. That was the strongest regiment we had. So that's pretty good, and they didn't suffer anything in return. So Yule is definitely going to want to have to get a, well, he could either, let's not get into that. Let's at least finish Williams first because he has some other firing over here. So Gordon's Brigade, 3rd Wisconsin has muskets, so they're out of range. 2nd Massachusetts, though, has European rifles. At a range of 2, it's a no modifier, -1 modifier for the stone wall hex, so it's a -1. So we're firing 7 SPs, -1. A 4 -1 is a 3 on the 7, which is just a disorder. So fatigue adds 1 to this, and it's a 7, which is fine for the 4th Virginia. 4th Virginia and 2nd Virginia are going to fire back with 7 SPs, -1 for the Stonewall Hex. They have rifle muskets at a range of 2 for +1. So that's a net 0, but then fatigue will make them -1 again. So it's a -1 on this die roll. A 9, an 8 on the 7 column is 1D +2. That's pretty good. Would have been better for a 9, but they'll take an 8. So they have to do a disorder check with a +2 modifier. A 1 + 2 is 3. So they pass the disorder check, but they still lose a step. Like so. All right, so they lose a strength point, so they're down to 11. 27th Indiana is going to fire their rifle muskets at the 5th Virginia. So at a range of 2, it's +1, -1 for the stone wall hex. I think that's the only modifier, so we're at a straight die roll. A 6 on the 7 column is a D +2, so it's a D +3 because they're fatigued. A 1 + 3 is 4, they are fine. The return fire is muskets range 2 for -1. -1 for the stone hex is -3. Fatigue is -4. So it's kind of a long shot. And with a 1, that's nothing. 26 Pennsylvania. Are they gonna... They could... if we rotate, maybe, do you not want to rotate that way? Okay, there you go. If they fire at the 5th Virginia, it's through the frontal hex and it's not blocked. So I think we will. What do we have to lose? They have rifles at a range of 3. So rifle muskets at a range of 3 is -2. -1 for the Stonewall hex is -3 overall with 7 SPs. And with a roll of 1. No, come on. Come on. Come on, Vassal. You can do better. So that's nothing. And 5th Virginia can't fire back because they already used their return fire for this phase. So yeah, that's Gordon's Brigade infantry complete at least. Battery M has line of sight on Rockbridge artillery at a range of 5. So they'll fire their 10-pound parrots at a range of 5 is 0. They are at a higher elevation for +1. Mass targets don't apply to artillery. Didn't move or anything, so it's just a +1. 8 + 1 is 9 on the... Ooh, this is going to hurt Rockbridge artillery. So what's that? 9. Disorder. Yes, that's a straight up disorder. So Rockbridge artillery's, what was it? A 1 disorder or just a disorder? Just a disorder. Okay, so 10-pound parrots are disordered. Now everybody else has to undergo UDD. So they are fatigue 1, so it's a +1. 4 + 1 is fine. So the what is this? The smooth bores are okay. Now the Allegheny battery with +1, it's a 3, so they're okay. So only the 10-pound parrots got disordered. It's a pretty good shot by Battery M. Battery F now is going to fire on Campbell's lead regiment at a range of 5. 10-pound parrot range of 5 is 0. +1 for being at higher elevation. They're not masked. So we got a +1, 0 +1 on the 6 column. Or no, sorry, the 4 column is nothing. So that's a whiff. And that's Gordon's Brigade completed. Yeah, thinking back, should I have moved the artillery? I'm thinking maybe. Thinking I don't know. I don't know what to do with artillery. I'm like at such a loss with artillery sometimes. It might be useful. I think on a in shock attack maybe. I have to check, but we're just gonna leave them. So that's Williams's division activation complete. They got one good result at least from all that firing. But now it is another AM, and I think this is going to be another Williams. Yep, another Williams activation. So unfortunately, now we got into this mess. Now Jackson and Yule have to just sit back and take it until they get another activation. So it's the same thing basically. You're going to go through the same events. So 46 Pennsylvania is going to shoot on 16th Mississippi. Range 2 for rifle muskets is a +1. Don't think there's any other modifier, so +1. 0 + 1 on the 7 column is a D-2. Oh, got lucky there. It's a 6. So 16 Mississippi passes, but they will return fire. So with a strength of 7 as well, muskets -2, -1 for the Stonewall. I forget if I think the last activation I didn't include the Stonewall, maybe. If I didn't, I apologize. It didn't matter because they didn't get any hits anyway. So it's a -3 overall. Is a 1 on same thing, so D-2. And they pass. 5th Connecticut is going to fire with 7 strength points on 15th Alabama. Again, +1 for the rifle musket, and that's it. is an 8. On the 7 is a 1 casualty and a D plus 2. So we have 1, we need to get to 7 and a D plus 2. So he passes the disorder check, but now we can fire back with 7 strength points. And again, they're behind the stone wall. So muskets at range 2 is -2, -1 for the stone wall. Is nothing. Okay, it's just gonna be like that. Get you back in there, and now who's this? 28th New York firing with the rifles on 21st Georgia. Is going to be +1 for the rifles, and I think that's it, right? Yep. So +1 for the rifles, a 10. On the 7 is a 1 disorder, so we're gonna decrease this to 8, and then they're gonna suffer a second disorder. So I'll do that in a second. I'll return fire first. 7 SPs. Muskets, range 2 is -2, -1 for being disordered. 7 -3 is 4. 4 on the 7 column is a disorder check. They're stacked with their leader, so they get the -1. Oh, they needed it, so they passed the cohesion check, luckily. And now the 21st Georgia gets a second disorder from a fire table result, so they lose 1 SP and then retreat 1 to 2 hexes. So we decrease this again and retreat 1 to 2 hexes. We'll retreat to here. Okay, so that's Donnellys Brigade activated. Now we'll go over to Gordon's Brigade again. 3rd Wisconsin, again, not activating. 2nd Mass, firing on this stack here. European Rifles get a 0 at range 2, -1 for the stone wall hex, so it's a -1 overall. 3 on the 6 or 7 column is a disorder check. 5 + 1 is 6, so they pass. This stack is going to fire back with 7 SPs. Rifles at range 2 is +1, -1 for the stone wall hex for 0, -1 for fatigue is -1 overall. And is a 0 at 7 is D -2. And of course it's a 0. 27th Indiana is going to fire their rifles at 5th Virginia. -1 for the stone wall hex, +1 for the rifles. Straight die roll is a 7. On the 7 column is a straight disorder. Before they get disordered, they're going to fire with -4 back at 27th Indiana, and that's nothing. 29th Pennsylvania, firing on the 5th Virginia. Range 3 with the rifles is -2, -1 for the stone wall hex is nothing. Battery M, gonna fire on Rockbridge Artillery again. 1 should be nothing for 6. Oh no, 2 is a D -2. 6 -2 should be fine. You went to +1 fatigue. And F battery is going to fire on Campbell again. 5 + 1 for the elevation change is 6 on the 4 column. Is a disorder check. Oh, yep, they're going to be disordered. So 42nd Virginia is disordered. It's good firing there. So yeah, that should be Williams's division activation complete. Don't think I missed anything. So on to the next AM. It is Confederate Stewart's Cavalry. Not really helpful here. He will try a order change. So he says 0 order change, and of course you roll 1. Look at how many 1s there are. I don't know. I think I will get some physical dice and maybe like a webcam or something so I can roll my own. Anywho, 1 is retain and stand. So next AM is Jackson. He's going to be thankful for that. So this is his second activation this turn. What are we going to do? Okay, so Jackson, I think we'll do the movement first. So I'll move Campbell and Fulkerson's brigades. And then I'll bring you back to show you where they end up. All right, so first we're going to move the Rockbridge artillery. So we're going to move him 2, 3, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And that should give him a chance to rally the next activation. But now Rockbridge and Allegheny batteries are gonna change facing. I don't think that counts as movement, correct me if I'm wrong. And fire on battery F. So they are at a higher elevation than battery F. So both of these, we could combine them since it is, yeah, it's 4 hexes or greater. So I think we'll combine them to do 10 SPs at a range of 4 for smooth bores. Let's get this short out. So 6-pound smooth bore at a range of 4 is a 0. We resolve it on the artillery table. No train effects. +1 for lower level target. I think that's it. Oh, -1 for fatigue, of course. So it's a straight die roll. It's a 3. On a 10 is a disorder check for battery F. They have a pretty good cohesion now, and of course they pass. So that's that fire completed. Now I'll move everybody and show you where everybody else ends up. Okay, so a lot of stuff happening. Not sure I got it all right. But so Campbell just moved with the 42nd Virginia, kind of 1 hex so that he could rally him next activation. The rest of his brigades still moving forward. We move the Rockbridge, or sorry, the West Augusta batteries up to try to fire on F battery, because in order for Campbell to advance, we need to take care of this artillery piece. I mean, we'll have to take care of, battery M as well. But for now, let's try to have, maybe we could actually split it. Let's fire it 1 at a time. I think because, sorry, I had to break out the rules for, we can move here even though it's 3 hexes away because the line of sight is blocked to this infantry unit. So we have, how much do we have? We have 4 SPs would get us to the next column on the artillery table. Let's just do that. Yeah. Now let's split it. Okay, so a 12-pound howitzer at a range of 4 gets 0. for the range. They are at the same elevation, I believe. So that might be blocked. Is this blocked? It is. All right. Well, I guess we're all firing at battery M. So a range of 4. Let's see. Is it even worth? No, I don't think there's enough modifiers. So now we go for the smoothbore at range of 4 is also a 0 for the range. Let's see. And at a 3, we get -1 for the fatigue. And yeah, so no, that doesn't do anything either. All right, so that was a bust. Anyway, so everybody else, Fulkerson still climbing up the hill. Now we have to activate Winder. First, we're going to try rallying the 5th Virginia. So we look at the rally table, and of course, an adjusted 9 or higher remains disorder, loses an SP. Not looking good for the Confederates here. Fourth Virginia and the 2nd Virginia gonna fire with 7 SPs with the rifles, 2 away for a +1, -1 for the Stonewall, and the fatigue is -1 overall. So a 4 on the 7 column is just a disorder check, and they pass. Firing back with 7, -1 for the Stonewall. So 1 disorder, -2, -1 for fatigue, 0, they pass. 33rd Virginia, 1, 2, 3, could fire with the rifle muskets. I mean, they might as well. It's going to be a long shot. Well, actually, 27th Virginia would have to. But no, we can because there would be SPs left over. So yeah, 33rd Virginia with the rifles, range of 3, -2, -1 for the Stonewall hex, -1 for fatigue, -4 overall, and that's nothing. Can't return fire because they've already returned fire. So that's Jackson's division activated. We are going to now pull the next AM. Oops, nope, not that. Draw pull. AM. Williams, just gonna sit there and fire. Not the most like interesting game for the Union, not gonna lie. Like once you have your forces set up, you kind of just have to sit there and wait, I think. I mean, it's up to the Confederates to maneuver. So yeah, you know the drill. I'm gonna just go ahead and run through it all. I'm not gonna belabor the point, and bring you back to show you who gets what results. All right, here we are at the end of Williams Division's activation. Buell's 15th Alabama got brutalized, 16th Mississippi got brutalized. Winder got skated by without any more casualties, though Campbell's brigade, 47th Virginia, got disordered from F Battery. So that's that activation. That's his 3rd activation now. So he will be fatigued. If I find this. So he's fatigue okay though. I mean, it's not really anything to get worried about. So we will, I mean, technically we do this at the end, but I'll forget at the end. So we're doing it now. Next AM is random event. So we roll a dice. 2 is nothing. So random event is nothing. Next AM is Stuart's Cavalry. We're going to try to change orders again. 4 is loose cannon. And since Stuart is a normal Brigadier, nothing happens. He just retains his orders and fails. So next AM, Williams again. He might as well activate and do more shooting. So bring you back when that's done. All right, so here's Williams at the end. Yep, basically everybody, 16th Mississippi got another disorder and had to retreat. Battery M disordered West Augusta Battery. 5th Virginia got a second disorder, had to retreat, lost a step. So yeah, not looking terribly great for Jackson at the moment. Let's see what the next activation is. Last activation of the turn, thankfully for Jackson, is his own division's activation again. So yeah, we will see what he wants to do here. I think Jackson's gonna, since we know that was the last, well, actually it shouldn't have been. Well, I goofed. I forgot to, I guess I forgot to put in the Union AMs. I didn't think well, they're supposed to get some activations. Not that it would have done anything, because I would have just left everybody. Oops. Most I would have done, I would have dismounted the 8th New York. But since Stewart didn't get to activate, didn't really matter anyway, did it? So I guess the 8th New York could have fired on the rear of the 16th Mississippi, but so much to keep track of. So anyway, with Jackson's activation, we know there's no other activations because I messed up. And so he's just going to take the opportunity to try to rally everybody and get set for the next turn. So I'll bring you back when everybody's rallied, or probably not. Okay, so here's Jackson's division at the end of his activation. Got some rallies: 5th Virginia, Rockbridge Artillery, 48th Virginia, all rallied. One of the West Augusta batteries failed his rally so badly he got eliminated. Fulkerson moved on top of this hill. Battery M did a approach fire because he's within 3 hexes, and the 10th Virginia passed its cohesion check from the disorder result. So they're on top of the hill. Now if Jackson can get the initiative first next turn, he can change some orders and do some shock probably. I mean, it's it feels, right now, as the Confederate player, I feel a little disheartened. Especially Yule. I shouldn't have moved Yule's division up so close before these guys had a chance to move, and since he only had 2 activations, I don't know what I was thinking. Would have been much smarter to just hang back. Again, I got a little too carried away. See, I take things too quickly. But I think right now, things aren't looking great for Jackson. He does get another fatigue because he made 3 activations. So that's going to hurt even more. But I played this terribly as Jackson, I won't lie. But at least next turn we get Taylor. Maybe we'll put him in march order or something. Get him up into the fight. Maybe move him around here. I don't know. We shall see. So yeah, that's the end of turn 2, the 0500 hour activation. Gonna have to do a lot of editing here. Not looking forward to that. But hopefully I didn't get too many rules wrong. I'm sure y'all point out to me if I did. I like it when you focus on my rules, because then you don't notice how badly my tactics are, or how bad my tactics are. And I did forget, obviously, the cavalry. But we're just gonna play that I wasn't gonna activate anybody. I mean, and I really kind of wouldn't. Carbines don't have enough range. His job is really just to stop Stewart. So maybe next turn we'll have him fire on 16th Mississippi or something. I don't know. So yeah, that's this turn complete. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments below, and I'll catch you at 0600. Bye for now.